Hello and welcome to another edition of our In the News segment. This week, Palm Bay Live catch up with Attorney Alton Edmond, former candidate for sheriff. We will talk about a recent spike in COVID-19 cases and review upcoming events in Brevard. We have recently wrapped up a remarkable, interesting local election period in our county, but it appears one item of note surrounding the sheriff race has recently come to light. Mr. Alton Edmond, the former opponent of Sheriff Ivey, placed a request for any investigative records relating to the sheriff to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Though the Florida Department of Law Enforcement search was negative for any active investigations, past records were provided. These records show that in 2018, a Florida Department Law Enforcement inspector was told by Florida State Rep. Randy Fine and former West Melbourne Mayor Mike Haslett that Representative Ivey met with and conspired with other unnamed elected officials, including a judge, to set Representative Fine up to be arrested for either a DUI charge, drugs, a crime involving a woman, or child pornography. Representative Fine also alleged Ivey and the state attorney's office were refusing to investigate or arrest public officials who were caught committing crimes. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement requested a meeting with Representative Fine and Mr. Haslett and an unknown Brevard County Sheriff employee to investigate the allegations against Sheriff Wayne Ivey. Representative Fine initially said yes and interestingly asked if he would be protected from prosecution. However, as of today, despite follow-up, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement has not heard from Representative Fine or former Mayor Haslett. Here's a recorded interview with Mr. Alton Edmond. All right, this is Kevin Vassian with Palm Bay Live interviewing Mr. Alton Edmond. Hey Alton, how you doing, sir?
All is well, Kevin.
Good, awesome. So I have a question for you. What initially brought about the request for the from the FD? Is it FDLE?
Correct. Yes. Really, the only purpose of the request was to get more background information on my opponent, and so I just kind of wanted to do some intel. It's clear that they did quite a bit of digging into me, and they were, doing research into me. They didn't really find much, but I wanted to do some research into my opponent and just kind of see, what information was out there about him and about his capacity as sheriff. And I knew that one of the places that would be good to do research was the FDLE because they investigate officers and law enforcement officials when they do things that are wrong or criminal or whatnot. They are the investigating agency that's often called in to conduct those investigations. So I made a request to FDLE to determine if there had been any investigations into my then opponent, Sheriff Ivey.
Okay. All right. So based on the findings, kind of give the audience a backdrop of what happened, what came out of it.
Well, I mean, I hate to give my version of the facts if there's a written document that says word for word what happened. Basically it looks like there was an investigation into the sheriff because at some point he seemed to have been looking to plant evidence on or falsely arrest Randy Fine for whatever reason.
Okay. All right. And why do you think, in your opinion, why do you think Mr. Fine didn't follow up with the FDLE? Because I guess in the second page of the request, I think he was supposed to follow up with someone, right? And
correct.
And he looked like he dropped the ball on that. Why do you think he did not follow up?
Well, there could be any number of reasons. I know that in my business, I've had the opportunity to be a part of many investigations where people did not decide to become witnesses in a case. Some of those people were intimidated and threatened so that they would not cooperate. Some of those people were made promises and made deals so that they would not cooperate. And so it could have been any number of reasons. Maybe the reason why, the reason why that, why Mr. Fine was going to be, or why there was some plan to do that to him. Maybe they smoothed out their differences and worked things out. And so maybe there was some amicable solution to it. Or maybe Mr. Fine was threatened. I really don't know, and I can't speculate as to that. I just know that those are common things that happen in those situations. People either make up and are friends again, or there's some sort of threat, promises, or even payments that are made to make this stuff go away.
Okay, so in overall, your opinion as to the whole situation, what's your take of based on what you see came out of it?
My take is that when I talked about possible corruption, and was unable to confirm any of it, it was because I couldn't get to the financial records because my opponent at the time, the sheriff, had access to those records, and they could put a ridiculous price tag on those records so that I could not access them. However, FDLE records, they didn't cost me a dime. I made a records request. I didn't have to pay a penny, and they emailed those results to me. And so I knew that FDLE wouldn't do the same thing with me that DCSO did in terms of hiding the records or forcing me to try to pay a big amount of money before I could get those records. And so that was a way to kind of get around some of the games that had been played so that I couldn't access those public records. But the unfortunate thing is that, FDLE took a long time to get those records to me, and so it wasn't until after the election where when I actually got those records. But I think that adds more credence to what I said before. At this point, I'm no longer a candidate for office, so I don't have any reason. I don't have any skin in the game. I don't have any reason to lie on the sheriff or anything like that. I'm no longer his opponent. He has won a second term. And it's really just me wanting to make sure that this information is out there, and to make sure that I'm transparent with the public about the findings of my personal investigation into my opponent.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Alton, for this interview. I will go ahead and wrap this up, and you have yourself a blessed day, sir.
Oh, thank you, brother. You do the same. You take care.
Oh, bye-bye. Also released this Friday was a full video of Gregory Edwards' address, which can be viewed on website www.palmbaylive.com. In other news, Florida has seen a spike in COVID-19 cases. We have re-entered the active or imminent outbreak level. Residents are reminded to practice social distances, wear your mask, and wash your hands. As of November 14, Brevard County has registered 145 new cases. Brevard has a total of 13,452 total cases. 13,371 were residents and 81 were non-residents. 409 deaths have been attributed to Brevard County. Happening this week, Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce will be hosting its advertising and marketing action on November 18 at Larson Motorsports, 2495 Palm Bay Road. For more information, call 321-951-9998. The Space Coast State Fair currently happening at 6091 Stadium Parkway in Vieira will conclude on the 22nd of November. For tickets and more information, visit spacecoaststatefair.com. This has been another segment of Palm Bay in the News. To list or advertise your events or in your future, contact Kevin at palmbaylive.com or visit www.palmbaylive.com. Palm Bay Live is a member of the Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce.